Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, and welcome to New Life Live. Really glad you're here. Absolutely. And joining me, two guys that know what they're talking about, Marc Cameron and J.J. West. J.J., how you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Steve. Thanks
Good.
for asking.
Yeah. Take care of yourself. And then Marc Cameron.
I'll try.
Marc, yeah,
I'm doing well. It's good to be with both of you, Steve and JJ.
Now, Marc, you have a certification as a therapist doing EMDR. Now, this is treatment for trauma. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to ask you a question about my own situation here, because I had this traumatic thing and I went to somebody, but it had nothing to do with my eyes. They had this music that they played and it went from one side of my brain to the other. Is EMDR really the best term for trauma treatment?
Well, EMDR is a trauma treatment. Francine Shapiro, who invented EMDR, she started it off with eye movements. But then later on, she herself said that if she had a chance to rename it again, she'd just call it reprocessing therapy. But
there
at that
you
time,
go. I thought that. I'd never heard that before.
It was already, so well known as eye movements at the beginning. And so that's kind of what it stuck. But to explain a little bit about EMDR is when we go through trauma, our brain actually takes a snapshot of our state in that moment, almost kind of like a freeze frame. And so our thoughts, our emotions, our bodily feelings, they all kind of get frozen, as a way to kind of explain it in time. And our brain remembers what we did to survive. And then when we get triggered, right, we have an association that reminds us of that trauma. Our brain goes back to that template that it's formed, and it initiates all of those thoughts, emotions, bodily feelings to help us get through, to survive again. Right. But that's not always helpful, because we're not necessarily in a level of danger all the time. If you have a traumatic incident, you're in a car crash and then you get into another car again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in danger just by being in a car. And so what EMDR does is it uses bilateral stimulations. Oftentimes it can be eye movements, it could be sounds, it could be tapping. And what we've discovered through, and there's decades of research here, is that the brain can actually heal itself as you use these bilateral stimulations, and you have obviously somebody who's professionally trained walk you through how processing your trauma, and it desensitizes you, as in the name of the therapy, to your experience, so that you then can have a more adaptive response when you're in a pretty much a normal situation.
Well, I have a history of being betrayed, and I know other people go through that trauma, and then you have it again, and you're re-traumatized, and just talking about it, probably, if you, like me, 3 times, talking about it probably isn't going to be enough. And there is this method that really does help you get free.
And your brain, and just like your body, when you cut yourself, when you get injured, your body heals itself, right? A doctor doesn't heal you. He may put a stent or something like that, but your body heals itself. And that's kind of the same way what happens with EMDR, as the therapist walks you through, and your brain actually heals itself. It's just an amazing way that God has designed our brains to heal naturally. All
right, 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need help from one of the folks that are on the phone all the time. And we really hope and pray that if you need some help, you'll call. We'll be back, and we'll go right to our calls.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle Workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, July 8th. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEWLIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and we're going to go to Lillian from Martinsburg, West Virginia, and she listens on the New Life app, and we're glad she does. Anybody else can, You can listen on the app. You can listen at newlife.com. You can get the podcast sent to you by your podcasting sender person. It's easy. But Lillian, welcome to New Life Live. How are you doing today?
Not good. I'm broken, and I was broken for a while now. I've been married prior, and I was in a domestic violence situation, and I got beat in my head and suffered a brain injury, and my whole life changed. I had gave up on everything, and then 7 years ago, I reunited with a friend that I knew from the past, and we ended up getting married, and now we have 3 children together, and I have a child that I was raped, and he claims her, and my other daughter was from the other marriage, and she doesn't live with us anymore. My marriage is a mess. We started going to marriage counseling. Well, we did premarital counseling when we got married, before we got married.
Yeah.
Then COVID came, and a lot of things were happening. I was pregnant with twins, and I lost one of the babies. One of them survived, and I went through the pregnancy, and ended up, the baby ended up, they wanted me to get an abortion with him, but I didn't. They said I wasn't going to make it through childbirth. And I was in intensive care. I had him. He had to stay in intensive care for a month. So I had to go through that.
Okay, so get to where we can help you. What is the problem that you're having today?
So we started marriage counseling during COVID because we needed it. Because I had lost a baby. I was dealing with other things. My brain injury, all that stuff. My husband, I'm trying to have a Christian household. I'm trying to raise my children the right way, everything. It seems like the more I try to live a more godly life, in the right life, my husband will, I'm listening to Christian music, he'll put on music that degrades females, everything.
Okay. So what's the question for us then, if he's not connected to you and supportive of you and even your desire to have a Christian home? What's the question here for us?
My question is, I love my husband with all my heart. He's never abused me in a way like hit me, but like verbally, he's been abusive. And I even said bad words back to him that I shouldn't have at first. But then,
Yeah.
I started changing my ways. My thing is that, like, I mean, he's there. He was there for me through my cancer, everything. But, like, he has a big problem with
Okay,
letting
but what's
go
the
of,
question for us? How can we help you?
how do I live a Christian home? What am I supposed to do? When my husband is verbally abusing me, and I started marriage counseling. I tried to reach out to the marriage counselor yesterday because we had a big thing going on. When I was sick, I let somebody come and live in the house and help me with the children and help with my husband.
But let us help you
everything
here.
turns bad.
You've asked, what can you do, right? You want to know what to do having a verbally abusive husband, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lillian, does your husband have any addictions? Does he drink? Does he do drugs?
He drinks, and he's been using pain medication. But he used to be on drugs, but when we got married, I was like, if you're gonna choose drugs, then he had to change his friends and all that stuff. He did that stuff for me.
But is he currently drinking and using medication?
Try to stay in the present.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
He accused me of using drugs, and I'm not using anything. I haven't in a while. I mean, a very long time, since a teenager. I haven't. He was like, I was on something. He tried to say that I'm bipolar. I had to have a total hysterectomy.
Okay.
So I'm suffering from menopause.
Yeah.
So Lillian, here's what I want to say to you is I think it's going to be really, really difficult to solve the problems in your relationship while your husband is still in the cycle of addiction. Because he's going to crave, he's going to have withdrawals, and those impact people. They impact someone's mental health, they impact someone's emotions. And, you've been through a lot of trauma, so you've been used to dealing with and putting up with abuse. And even if he's not physically abusive to you, if he's verbally abusive, that's still abuse. And so I think you probably, if you don't have one and we can help set you up with someone, I think you need a counselor to help you in a couple of different ways. One, I think you've been through a lot of trauma and you need somebody to help you process through the trauma. But number two, which I think is the most is priority right now, is safety. I think you need to learn to get yourself to a safe position here. And having a counselor help you can help you hold boundaries, and maybe you may even need a separation if he's going to continue to be in addiction and he's going to continue to be abusive to you.
JJ, do you have a thought here to go on top of what Mark is saying?
I do. I think that it's important, Lillian, for you to recognize that because you have been traumatized and abused so much throughout your life, I think it's easy for you to, and I kind of heard it in your description, it's easy for you to look at your current husband and go, well, he's not as bad as X, Y, and Z, so maybe I shouldn't complain or be upset when he does whatever it is that he's doing, his verbal abuse, his addiction. But just because you experienced worse behavior or worse abuse or worse situations in the past doesn't mean you're not able to set healthy boundaries in your current relationship. I think it's really important for you, Lillian, to recognize that you are valuable. You are worth being treated well, being treated with respect, having healthy conversations, not verbally abusive conversations, having a home where there is safety because we're not dealing with addiction. So I would agree with Mark that priority number one is for you to make sure that you are safe physically, emotionally, spiritually, that you're paying attention to what's going on with you, and not denying yourself the legitimate need to be protected and cared for simply because your current husband isn't as bad as previous relationships.
Do you have a counselor, Lillian?
Yeah, I started my individual therapy for menopause because I'm going through menopause. I had uterine cancer, and they had to take everything. So I'm 39, and like I'm just broken. I don't know what to do. Like, he allowed someone to, like, verbally call me the B word in my yard. He let someone say that they were going to whoop me, all types of stuff. And
Oh, Lillian, I'm so sorry. You need safety. You really, really need safety.
Do you have family nearby who could be a safe respite for you?
No, I don't. I don't have a family that is like that I can go to and or anything. And like, I called the marriage counselor yesterday, and I couldn't get a hold of her. She said she was going to meet with us tomorrow. And she said to bring my husband because she's just started with us.
So Lillian, in the absence of having a proper safety net, if you don't have family nearby that you can go to, if you don't have a close friend that you could stay with, then I want you to look into where are the abuse shelters. Sometimes they're called battered women's shelters, but look for where are the abuse shelters in your area so that you have a safety plan. Now, I don't know that things are going to get that bad, but if they do, that's not the time to then try and develop a plan. You need to have the plan in place, the safety plan in place, so that you are protected first and foremost. So I would want you to go and look that up immediately.
Yeah, I agree. And Lillian, I think you probably need an individual counselor too. Counseling is marital counseling, couples counseling is contraindicated when there is abuse. So I think you probably need an individual counselor to help you recognize what is safe and acceptable and what isn't. And that person should be able to, again, like as JJ's saying, be able to help you understand what resources you have available in your local area.
She's also, maybe you guys can help me, but she's in Hagerstown, Maryland, and her name is Trisha. She's my individual and marriage counselor.
Okay. And what's the question for us then?
Like, my thing is that, like, I feel broken down. I'm tired of being called the B word. I'm tired of being treated like I'm nothing. I've been through so much, and some parts of him is good, but not when he's doing.
Yeah, right.
He's doing
so you need to have a place where you can go to that's safe, and I might even discuss with him your inability to live with him and his abuse. But you've got to be sure that doesn't bring on some kind of physical abuse of you to try to control you. But I don't think you should be able to survive in an abusive situation where you're going through all of your health problems and being called names, and you're the only one that can stop that, either by telling him to leave and he responds, and if he doesn't, then you be the one to get yourself to a safe place and tell him you can call me whenever you've decided to no longer abuse me verbally. Okay.
Yeah, because like it's so. But I have all these children. I have four
Yeah.
children. One is four. One is one. One is 5. One is 6. One is 8.
Mm.
I I suffer from seizures, and my 5-year-old.
Lillian, can you promise me that you're going to ask your counselor about a woman's shelter, information about a woman's shelter? Can you promise
That?
me that? Okay, good.
Because they're equipped to take children as well.
They can help you. They can help you.
Yeah. All right. I'm really glad that you called, and I'm so sorry for what you're going through. And let me send you this book, Healing is a Choice. I think it will help. We'll be back right after this.
We went to the Intimacy and Marriage in 2019. We were both done.
This is Steve Arterburn. Do you feel like your marriage is done? New Life can help. We believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life. Our Intimacy and Marriage Workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The next Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is July 28th to the 30th in Washington, D.C. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to experience a new level of intimacy and have a great marriage.
The transformation, phenomenal. And it's transformed our lives so much.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. I just want to encourage you, if you have a problem, call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and either come to Every Man's Battle if lust is the problem, or if you know somebody has the problem, you demand or encourage them to go. It will change everything. And, you know, JJ is the person that leads Every Man's Battle and now is doing our Intimacy in Marriage intensive, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So come join us and JJ, either in Every Man's Battle or Intimacy in Marriage. I don't think there's any way that you could be disappointed if you do that. Now we're going to go back to those calls, and the call I want to go to is, I want to go to Pam, Knoxville, Tennessee, and she listens on WRJZ. Hi, how are you?
Just fine. How are you all?
Doing all right. What's the question for us?
Well, I've kind of gotten myself in a little dilemma. I was going down to visit my son and his wife. They've been married roughly 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I have been told that I need to stay in a hotel room due to a relationship that's not, according to his wife, one in which she feels like we're not close. And so I'm just at first when I was stated that, I felt like that maybe I shouldn't go at all. But then they do have a little child, so I'm a grandmother, and
Yeah.
you know.
Well, what does your son say about this? Why that you need to stay somewhere else? And is he supportive of you staying somewhere else?
Because I'm sure you're aware that this isn't just, it didn't come out of thin air. I mean, since they've been married, there's been issues where she feels like I haven't handled things correctly. And when I've tried to address with my son, he feels like he doesn't want to get involved. But then
He doesn't want to get involved with a conflict between his wife and his mother. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then now, you know, she's established this boundary, he said, and you know, rightly so. I mean, he is to, you know, when you marry, I mean, that's who he is to, you know, you leave and cleave. But I guess, and when I brought up the fact, you know, how do you resolve something, is, to me, I think it's a very negative connotation when you tell someone that they have to stay in a hotel. And then mine and his dad are divorced, and were divorced when he was 2.
Yeah.
And so I feel like he shouldn't be punished and made to stay in a hotel. So I told my son, I said, you know, your dad should be able to stay at your house. And, you know, I don't have a problem, you know, with the fact that I'm having, I guess there's part of me that wants to go down just so that he can see just how wrong this is. But then at the same time, I know going down there with this on the table, it puts me in a kind of an unhealthy situation just emotionally.
Pam, can you tell us a little bit more about what, you know, maybe is the incident that occurred where you and your daughter-in-law have a conflict?
Well, I got a letter after they got married, and the letter had like 6 or 7 things that she felt like I had done, and then she ends the letter saying that I need to acknowledge that all these instances have occurred, and there's nothing stated in the letter that's true. And then when I went to approach it, I told my son I'd rather do this face-to-face as opposed to doing it over the phone. My son felt like we should handle it and get it over with. But then as soon as I called her to address these things, and the first words out of her mouth was, "I'm tired of you treating me like an asshole." And so at that point, what I should have done is said, you know, we probably shouldn't be talking about this right now because you know, you're not in a good place. But, you know, I tried to work things out and try to tell her, you know, I was sorry for whatever has happened in the past and that could we move forward. But
Let me ask you this. Where does this fear that your son has come from? Why is he so scared?
I don't see it as scared, but I see it as someone that is allowing his wife to call the shots.
Yeah, because he's scared. He does that because he's afraid to upset her. He's afraid to confront her, even over his mother. And I think one of the gifts of this is discovering your son is afraid. And if I were you, I would be asking him to step up and correct or address something that is not right. It's obviously not right what he's doing with you, even calling you names.
Right.
Well, did he have a father that raised him, or was the father not there?
Well, I mean, the father got involved with a woman and married her and tried to be a father, but lived in another city, and so to be a father in 2 different places, as we both know, is difficult. I mean, they probably have a better relationship now that he's older, but I never tried to taint that relationship because I knew that that's the only father he has. But not growing up, it was me raising him, and through the grace of God, I tried to raise him the best I could, and I question now whether if I did this, I must have done something wrong.
Well, we'll talk about that.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with J.J. West, Marc Cameron, and we're talking with Pam, and this is just a really, really tough situation. And, I would say this to your original question about staying in a hotel. What a gift that would be if your son was able to pay for that for you. I would do that rather than I'd want to do that rather than stay in a home where the head of the household, doesn't want you to be. I'd much rather be, and I'd pick one that had a pool and the kids could really enjoy it. I would do that over staying there. I mean, it's just too sick for you to stay in that situation. That's my thought. JJ, what are you thinking here?
Well, I definitely agree that she should go, not stay home, stay in the hotel as much as you can. Respect the requests, the boundaries that they've set. But I would also say, maybe not this trip. I don't know if this is for like a birthday party or some special event, but at some point here, hopefully in the very near future, to have a conversation with your son and your daughter-in-law to say, I really want us to have a better relationship. I don't know all that needs to change in order for that to happen, but I'm willing to have whatever conversations we need to have to work through our difficulties, to work through whatever harms we may have done to each other. I want to be able to do that, to have that humble approach, not to come in demanding, well, you have to do this and you have to do that, kind of the way it sounds like the original letter was written. Not that approach, but a humble approach to say, I want to change. I want us to be able to have a healthy relationship. Would you be willing to work with me to achieve that? Maybe we can even do counseling. It sounds like you're in different cities, obviously, if you're going to stay in a hotel. Right. So maybe that you could do telehealth where the three of you could meet with a therapist to work through what are the difficulties that have arisen in the history of the relationship that need to be resolved.
Yeah. I've offered or asked for, and she has declined with regards to wanting to do any type of, having kind of a third party involved to kind of help us work through. But like I said,
did she say why?
no, and I tried to respect the fact that she said no, just to keep it from, going south even more.
Sure. Yeah.
Did not.
Pam, I would start with the conversation. I would try and have it at this trip, because it sounds like you live far away. I do think conversations are often better face to face. You have the presence of the person. You can't just hang up the phone. They're right there in front of you, so it would be an even more intentional effort to have to walk away. I would ask them, hey, can we have some time, right? Don't spring something on them. Ask them, can we separate an hour off during this trip where we can get together and we can sit down? I would try and include your son. He's obviously very avoidant, but he's part of this because he's married to your daughter-in-law, and you have a relationship. Even though you can have individual relationships with them, you also have a relationship with both of them, too, together, because they're married. So I would try and have him. If he doesn't want to be involved, I would still sit down with your daughter-in-law, and with the conversation, I would start with an affirmation. Right? Start off with something positive, something that you appreciate about her. Maybe it's a characteristic. Maybe, she's a great mom, whatever it is. And then, as JJ's saying, then state that you want to have a restored relationship so she knows where the conversation's going. And then I think what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to hear her out. Even if you don't agree with anything that she's saying or her perceptions about it, I think you're going to have to demonstrate and model hearing her out. And then trying to, and this is a difficult thing to do, by the way, it's not easy, empathize with the emotions that she has, right? In that, I can see how you might feel that way if that's your perception, right? And then after you model hearing her out, then hopefully she's in a place to then hear you out. But because you've started at the beginning that you want to try and have a restored relationship, after you've heard each other out, if it doesn't come to some kind of natural resolve, then I would say, how can we come to a solution? How can we learn how to, we have differences of opinions, or those things happened in the past. How can we move forward and live in peace? So I would try that.
Okay, so
I'm going to add one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, JJ.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, no, you.
Okay. I just want to add one thing to what Mark just said. Pam, I would recommend that you take the letter that your daughter-in-law sent you. And, scripture says, the psalmist said, search me and know me and see if there be any wicked way in me. I would take the letter and I would prayerfully ask God to reveal to you if there's anything in there that you can agree with, that you can offer to her as a, kind of meeting in the middle, if you will. I'm not suggesting that you try and agree with something that's not true, but if there is anything, allow the Holy Spirit to reveal to you what you can agree to that may need to be worked on.
All right. Very, very good. I'm going to send you this devotional, 100 Days of Peace, and maybe that will give you some insight as you read God's Word and meditate on it and focus on it. Maybe there you'll have some spiritual insight here also on how to handle it. Speaking of spiritual insight, Larry Sonnenberg has had it ever since I've known it. Larry, what does that spiritual insight you have lead to?
Well, I want to share testimony. I want to talk about every man's battle. I want to talk about our match and how you can support us. But let me do this testimony to begin with.
Okay.
This gentleman said, I needed to keep my past buried. It was so damaged, so dark, so lost and corrupted. I didn't want to touch it or look at it or whisper to give weight to its hurting existence. So I could pretend and attempt to live a life all the while quietly haunted, each minute and step in the darkness. And then a guy in my group shared in our first session, bringing to light in my own heart what I so desperately didn't want to face. I wanted to run, anything other than to face the hurt that was rooted in my own pathetic existence. But I was surrounded by love in a circle of other men, lost, deeply grieving, broken, and fumbling in the dark, crying out for mercy. It was no longer a suffering alone, but a suffering shared. And in the middle of that circle was a son, God's son, a son who knows our suffering, who weeps as I weep, as all of us wept. A son ready to take our burden and give us peace, to welcome me home, to shine light in the dark, and heal what is buried in my own life with his blood. The hurt is still there, but it's a hurt I can now face because the Lord is with me, with strength to face struggles for the battle ahead, and comforted by the men He's placed around me going forward.
Very nice.
That was a pretty eloquent testimony that he gave. And I happen to know who this was, and his father had the same struggle about 10 years ago. So for any of you guys that need something, it can be a generational curse, if you will, on families that don't step in and take control of that and seek the healing and the hope that comes from God. So consider this workshop. Lives change, and it can be painful. You have to disclose some things you never thought you would disclose to anybody, and that's where the healing really begins. So I hope.
And and you do it because it's safe.
Yes,
it's a safe place.
Safe and no shame. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And then our match, Larry. What's going on with our match?
Well, because this is recorded, 2 days ago or 3 days ago, we were about $85,000 short of matching to get to the $325. And unless somebody gave a really special gift, I'm guessing we're still going to need some gifts to get over the line here. So I would really appreciate, the people that will find healing and hope through this ministry will appreciate your giving to this match. It makes a difference. We see, we have a front row seat to seeing the Holy Spirit do a work. And every time we see that, it's because of what you do and what you give. So I hope you'll continue to do so. And thank you, everybody who is.
Yeah, it's been great to see the support that's come in. And we just have a little bit more to go here to get all of the funds available. So that $80,000 that we need, well, that really represents $160,000 that we'll have if you can help us get there. So please do call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Go to newlife.com to find out about how to match this last $85,000.
We're praying and believing that'll happen this month of June.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it'll be a long time before that, so there's no last minute begging going on.
Yeah. I'm asking for no last minute begging. Not pretty. All right, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you can help us or you need some help, it's the same number, absolutely the same number. So you give us a call, please. We'll take a break. We'll come back for the final segment of New Life Live, and I really hope that something we can say here can help you right there.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and we're going to go to Karen here, but I do want to mention that if you give us a gift here in June, well, we'll send you Living Strong and Finishing Well by Dr. Dave Stoop. And did he ever do that? He did. So join him, grab the wisdom that he discovered, and because we all want to live strong and finish well. It's a great book. You will love it. It's our way of saying thank you. But right now, I want to talk with Karen, Boston, Massachusetts. And WEZE is the station that she listens to. Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for taking my call.
Certainly.
I have been remarried with the same person for 22 years.
Okay.
And I was married prior to that and had 3 children with my ex-husband for 24 years before that. And it's been an up and down thing. I mean, he was gay, and so there wasn't much to the relationship. But I was always thinking, obviously I married the wrong person. And so I waited till the kids were, the last one was close to out of high school, and I kind of stepped out of the marriage, which I had not intended to do. So he's always put that on me and told the kids how rotten I was. And, I reconciled with myself, with God, and, you end one thing before you start something else. He actually is happily married with Steve, who he has been with for almost as long as I've been with, my husband. They married on our old anniversary. I don't know whether it was to reclaim the day or it was a good run or what. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous that there was another Saturday.
So
anyway,
we are almost out of time. So you're going to have to tell me what it is we can help you.
He's up and down. Every couple of years, we've had kids and grandchildren. We've invited him here for occasions like showers and baby christenings and pool parties. And yesterday was a dance recital. He said he was coming, and he went to the dance recital. Then he just never showed up afterwards. My daughter called to say, "Where are you? The kids are looking for you." We have, 6 grandchildren together now and 3 adult children. And he's like, "Oh, I just couldn't be there with your mother." And I kept thinking about all the terrible things she did to you when you were little and to me. And, he just goes on. So every 2 or 3 years, but the opposite years we'll meet and he'll give me a hug. He'll come in, he'll bring some banana bread or whatever the occasion is for brunch. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a vastly up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
And I've always forgiven him. And just said, God, we all fall short. Thank you for forgiving me. I've forgiven myself for whatever shortcomings I've had, and just let it go. And it's just getting to the point where I'm getting tired of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle it.
So what's the question for us?
How do I handle it?
How do I
handle it? Do I just say, look, I'm tired of this in and out, up and down. Just probably it's best if he's not invited to my kids. But, they're his grandchildren, too, and I've always thought that, that's the best way to be, is forgiving and, open your door to everyone.
Yeah, it's always good to be forgiving and have an open door. But if the person at the door just shot your friend, well, you wouldn't want to forgive them and ask them to come in and be nice. That's a reality that doesn't go away. And so you'd really set yourself up for more disaster and trauma. So we have to have limits, and we have to use some, good common sense on what to do. So let's hear it. JJ, let's start with you. What do you think she ought to do?
Yeah.
Karen,
I would first
birthday coming up.
Granddaughter's birthday
Karen,
coming up.
I would start with changing your expectations. Can you hear me, Karen?
Yeah, what did you say? I'm sorry.
I said I would start with changing your expectations. So instead of expecting that he's going to come over and be nice and play nicely with everyone, instead expect that he's not going to come. expect that if there's an event at our house, he's not going to come. Then if he does decide this is a time when I'm going to, bring over a, banana bread and be kind, it'll be a surprise to you rather than a disappointment each time you walk through this process. But I would also suggest that you have a conversation with him about the emotional impact that it has on you when there's this vacillation back and forth between everything's great, we're fine, here's your banana bread, we love you, to I don't want anything to do with you because you were so awful to me and the kids. And to have a conversation around how that impacts you and whether or not he may not even be aware of the impact that he's having on you.
That's right.
Now, if he is, obviously, then that's cruel, and that's a different story you have to deal with. But he may not be aware. He may only be aware of what's going on with him and how difficult it is for him to be back in that household and to see you with another man and being happy with another man. So instead, I would say have the conversation that maybe allows him to see a different perspective. But start with changing your own expectations so that you're not constantly disappointed when he just doesn't show up. And maybe even have that conversation with your children who are also going through the same pain of him not showing up.
There you go. All right, let's hear from you, Mark. What do you think?
I agree with JJ here, Karen. And I think when you have that conversation, I would also kind of ask him at the end, what would it take to move on? What would it take to kind of put this behind us, for the mutual benefit of our kids and our grandchildren, so that we can be at events together and just kind of enjoy the day, enjoy the time, so it's good for everyone here. So I would ask him that. Let him answer that question. And if he doesn't give you a satisfactory answer, or if this is not the first time you've had the conversation, if you haven't had a conversation with him, I would just have a conversation. I wouldn't threaten any boundaries, right? If you've had a conversation with him, then I would just let him know what the boundaries are going to be. I really love for you to be at the event. If we can't get along, unfortunately, I may not have to invite you, which will be really, really unfortunate. And then what I would do is I would just strengthen your relationship with your kids, because you can't ultimately you can't stop him from saying what he wants to with your kids. But if you have a strong relationship with your kids, they'll be able to filter out what is truth and what is anger and what is bitterness. And I think you use this word vacillates, and I don't know if you were referring to the attachment styles that Mylan and Kay have in their book, How We Love, but it sounds like he may be a vacillator.
Yeah, he might be. And here's the thing. If he's going to impact things negatively whenever, and it's a kind of a poor bet that it's going to go well and this is going to be the banana bread visit, then maybe there are things that you need to tell your kids. This is one of those situations I don't think we're going to be able to ask him to come because of certain things. And I do think you need to have a little discussion with the impact that he has on you and on the kids. And, tell him, hey, this has got to stop. A lot of times people are angry that you didn't do something for them. And you didn't fix him, or you didn't change him, or whatever he was expecting from you, you didn't do it. And now I think he's angry about that, or regretful for what he did. And so sometimes you have a conversation and there's a breakthrough through that conversation alone. I would have a discussion rather than just let it continue. All right. 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need some help. That's the number to call. We're going to be right back here tomorrow. He'll be here next week too. We'll be back here tomorrow taking calls at 1-800-229-3000. If you want to hear us in other places, we're on the YouTube channel, our app, newlife.com. We'll see you next time.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.